Gossip is, as a rule, something which is kind of bad about someone else discussed when they are not present. Or according to Wikipedia, gossip is idle talk or rumor, especially about the personal or private affairs of others. Sex scandals, love triangles, spouses cheating, Hollywood stars hopping from bed to bed, gossip, which is strictly limited by the 9th commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Exodus 20:15. But in many circles these days, the 10 Commandments are no longer popular, and a tidal wave of gossip is washing over the land. Since the all-grace churches claim the commandments were done away with, or nailed to the cross, and you being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God has made alive together with Christ, having forgiven you all trespasses, having wiped out the handwriting of requirements that was against us, which was contrary to us, and he has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. This commandment of having to tell the truth about others and not engage in calumny and spreading false rumors was apparently against the souls of many of the grace preachers, so they claim the commandment has been done away with. Look who's talking! Guys who gossip outnumber gossip girls 2 to 1, according to new research, and 80% of our conversations are spent on discussing other people and their habits. The study of 300 people by Dr. Nicholas Emler, as reported in the London Daily Mail, found that while we love exchanging juicy tidbits of personal info, only about 5% of gossip is malicious. That's 80% of conversation time spent on gossip, and the guys do it twice as much as the girls, believe it or not. A growing constellation of websites, magazines, and television programs serve it up minute by minute, creating a river of cash for secrets of the stars, or near stars. An analysis of advertising estimates from those outlets shows that the revenue stream now tops more than $3 billion annually, driving the gossip industry to ferret out salacious tidbits on a scale not seen since the California courts effectively shut down the scandal sheets of the 1950s. It all kicked in with a vengeance last week when news broke that former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger of California had fathered a child with his family's housekeeper. The stuff of gossip. Married man takes a fling on the side, a baby comes out of it. Salacious. Gossip. And the gossip industry, which pays cash for tips, is bringing in the money faster than ever before. Sex in advertising is the use of sex appeal in advertising to help sell a particular product or service. According to research, sexually appealing imagery does not need to pertain to the product or service in question. A few examples of sexually appealing imagery include nudity, pin-up models, and muscular men. Sex sells became a controversial issue, with techniques for enlarging and titillating the audience, challenging conventional moral standards. In contemporary mainstream advertising, for example magazines, online television, sex is present in promotional messages for a wide range of branded goods. Ads often feature provocative images of well-defined women and men in revealing outfits and postures, selling things such as clothing, alcohol, beauty products, and fragrances. Advertisers such as Calvin Klein, Victoria's Secret, and Pepsi, just to name a few, use these images to cultivate a sexy media presence. Also, sexual information is used to promote mainstream products not traditionally associated with sex. For example, Dallas Opera's recent reversal of its declining ticket sales has been attributed to the marketing of the more lascivious parts of its performances. Advertisers use it, and mainstream media, newspapers, online news sites, television uses it. While the scandal sheets are raking in the money, most people don't even charge for their gossip. They give it away for free. But those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves and their religion is worthless. That's strong stuff. The megachurch preachers will often tell people, yeah, 10 Commandments are done away with. But the people who are giving free rein to their gossip-loving tongues are practicing worthless Christianity. Shut out of the kingdom. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. A lot of gossips out there engaged in activity which God does not approve of, has forbidden, and equates them with God-haters. It's a bad category to be in. And it's not just the people who do it, it's those that approve of those who practice these things by paying to watch their movies, like A Fistful of Dollars. This is the man with no name. In his own way, he is perhaps the most dangerous man who ever lived. Another way of showing this approval is by buying their gossip magazines, where you can learn about how the love triangle exploded. But no mercy? The tactics used by girls who bully are distorted versions of some normal mechanisms of social development. According to research done by Lagerspetz, Bjorkvist, and Peltonen at the University of Miami, when girls bully, they use things like alienation, ostracism, deliberate and calculated random exclusions, and spreading of rumors to harass their peers. Girls get other kids to gang up on one or more peers as a way of exercising control. Sometimes they entice other children to act out aggressively and sit back to watch the show. They form groups that pick and choose members at random and exclude others without real reason. They form alliances with other social groups in an effort to jockey for popularity and positions of power among peers. All too often, the bullying tactics used by girls are brushed off as cruel but normal social interactions.
Somebody is spreading a crazy rumor about me.
Wait, let me see. Oh yeah, that's bad.
I wonder who would do that.
Do you see what she's wearing?
Did you hear that? Did he get in trouble? What did he say?
Well, I heard they're not dating anymore. I heard that he got sent to the principal's office.
I heard that they secretly date, but nobody likes him, so they're taking a break.
No way.
My guess is you probably know, but she changes voice like she changes her clothes.
Did you hear that?
I heard that it's what we predict. She couldn't go to the party because her parents are strict.
What?
I'ma say it, but you can't tell. I heard his brother got in trouble and her mama's in jail. These aren't my words. People say it's not true, but that ain't what I heard. Can you keep a secret? I got all the scoop, but you better not repeat this. Did you hear about the recent rumor that been whispering in your ear like?
Or as Romans 1 puts it, people with no mercy, no fidelity. And when they grow up, they don't forget these tactics. Research from the University of Florida has found that adult women use the same gossiping techniques as teenage girls to damage another woman's reputation and try to gain an advantage in romantic relationships. Lead researcher and doctoral student Tara Reynolds led 5 studies that found women were more likely to spread negative information about a woman perceived as a threat to their romantic prospects. Women strategically used gossip to target a rival who posed either a direct or indirect threat. Targeting rivals, spreading rumors. So what should you do if you've been gossiping? Well, read Exodus 23:1. Thou shalt not raise a false report, put not thine hand with the wicked, to be an unrighteous witness. When others are dishing, don't approve of it, change the topic, or move on. Have nothing to do with sin. Just because you've watched this video doesn't mean that everyone else has. they'll still be wanting to gossip with you. Have nothing to do with it. But what if you're in a supermarket queue? I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I hate what faithless people do. I will have no part in it. Psalm 101:3, including buying a magazine about it or watching a film about it. Faithless people, the love triangles, the love children like Arnie had with his housekeeper. These are faithless activities. Don't groove to those tunes. But even if you've been horribly misused, UFC fighter Rachel Ostovich's husband, Arnold Berdon, has been arrested on an attempted murder charge and remains in custody in Hawaii. Berdon was arrested after he allegedly assaulted his wife following an argument in their home this past Sunday. Ostovich was taken to the hospital and released after suffering a broken orbital bone and other injuries as a result of the assault. Rachel is a UFC fighter. Most married couples have disputes, but there aren't very many marriages where both of the parties are MMA fighters. So things got a little bit rough. Her husband beat her severely, and what did she recommend doing? Spend time praying for people instead of talking about them. Cruelly beaten, broken bones, and counseled that people should pray for others rather than talking about them. So don't be distracted from what's really important. When the mind dwells upon self, it is turned away from Christ, the source of strength and life. Hence, it is Satan's constant effort to keep the attention diverted from the Savior, and thus prevent the union and communion of the soul with Christ. The pleasures of the world, life's cares and perplexities and sorrows, the faults of others or your own faults and imperfections, to any or all of these he will seek to divert the mind. Do not be misled by his devices. So, who's trying to divert your mind to the faults of others rather than focusing upon more worthwhile things? Well, it's the Satan. But what if it's the neighbor woman who's doing this sort of thing? Well, it may be that Satan is using her as a tool to destroy you. Because while she's gossiping to you about others, any information that you share with her could easily find its way into the gossip channels when she's talking to others. Or as 2 Timothy 3 puts it, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous boasters, proud blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with divers lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. As one Hollywood hero after another carries off silly women laden with sins. There are a lot of people out there that hate that which is good and will use gossip to try to tear them down. And the people furnishing material for the gossip mill, they're also described in the scriptural passage. So why not just take the advice of 2 Timothy and turn away from people who are engaged in gossip?